Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Pauper Premier League. I'm here with Alex Ullman with newly minted semifinalist Chris Van Meter. So Chris, congratulations.
Thank you.
How was that? We got to watch some really interesting games. Both those matches went to 3 games. What did you think about your matchups going in? Looking at them, it felt like your decks lined up backwards. Almost.
Yes. I wish I had submitted them in the other order. Is what I wish I had done. Well, I would have much rather had the quad smash to smithereens deck against Affinity as opposed to Boggles. But that's one of the cool things about these types of tournament structures where you submit different decks. Sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't.
So yeah, you had a series of great draws in your second game against Ricardo, where you kind of were able to stabilize with Crypt Rats, and then you got Monarch. And what was going through your head at that point?
So going through my head at that point was I just wanted to not lose. So I was trying to get to a point where I could pressure Ricardo and be able to try and end the game before he could ATOG Fling, because that's how I felt like I could lose that game, is if he holds resources to the point where he can kill me with Fling, which is like there was a turn where I could have been more mana efficient with my card equity and flashed back a Chainer's Edict as opposed to playing one from hand and then using Sign in Blood in the same turn. So I chose to do that as I wanted to try and draw into a Gray Merchant and just get more things to put more threats into play faster.
Yeah, I know you and I have talked about mono black or mostly black control decks a lot. I love them. I love playing around with them and seeing what the best creature mix is. I'm very high on, hate to say it, running Arcum's Astrolabe to activate Dimir Guildmage. But what do you think about how that deck is positioned? Because it's one of those decks that I feel like you could take into a league and run off a 3-2, maybe spike a 4-1. But it feels like you see a few 5-0s every week. But what do you think of the deck right now? Just mono black control in general.
I feel like it's really good. I think that Chainer's Edict in particular is in a good spot. And I really like Thorn of the Black Rose in the format. I think it's way better than Palace Sentinels right now, weirdly, just because a 1/3 Death Touch is very good in this world of Seeker of the Way.
Yeah. But sounds like we're ready. We're going to see a play-in for the chance to play Brian DeMars, for then the chance to play you next week. We got Brian Coval versus Michael Bonde. And we know Brian is bringing, so Michael, bless him, he's in the Team Modern Super League, made the finals of that on Tuesday. His friend needed him to fly to Las Vegas to do something, so he's playing in the Grand Prix at the Magic Fest. Is in Las Vegas. He's like, can you push my match as late as possible? I need to get to my hotel room. And so he flew across the Atlantic Ocean, halfway across our America, is in Las Vegas, is now in a hotel room somewhere or his friend's house, about to play. There was some miscommunication trying to get his deck lists in. He got them in. I'm still not quite sure what he's playing. I know he's playing either Stompy or Burn, but I know that Brian is playing his Tron Arc list, the list he played his second round, just with some updates. Specifically, he said, this week I'm bringing a 15-card sideboard, not a 3-card sideboard. What do you think of the Tron Arc deck, the white Tron, the Skyfisher Tron?
I think it's very good. I think it's the best version of the Tron decks, since they can actually pressure the opponent and end the game with Kor Skyfisher and Glint Hawk. And then I also just really like Kaervek's Torch. Just having access to a Fireball when you're able to generate, 12, 15 mana on turn 6 or 7 can really end the game before your opponent is done dirtling with their Astrolabes. Like, you have this card advantage engine that you're building with the birds and the Astrolabe, but unlike the other Astrolabe decks, they're just looking to generate advantage as the game goes and eke it out. With this deck, you can generate that advantage and then just Fireball for 20.
Yeah, I mean, I know the power of X spells. I'm pretty sure I lost both my games to Brian to Rolling Thunder, or it might have been Kaervek's Torch. I'm actually a bigger fan of Rolling Thunder in these decks just because it does have that utility of I'm just going to take out your army as well. Kaervek's Torch, though, I think is better when you're expecting counter spells because it's easy to leave blue up, but it's a lot harder to leave blue 2 up in the metagame these days.
Yeah, the Jeskai, more leaner Astrolabe decks are just about trying to cast as many 1-mana spells as they can, and it's tough for them to leave up 4 mana.
Yeah, I know we're working on getting the game set up. Actually, we are ready. So let's see. This is just one match, not best 2 out of 3, and I'm not Kendra. It's okay. But let's see what we got, and these are decent hands. Looks like Michael brought Burn. And these were decent hands for both players, but it looks like Brian sent his back for 6, but no Tron piece in this 6.
Yeah, I think so. Even without a Tron piece, he just looks like he can play this classic, Astrolabe Bird value engine. Which I don't think is going to be good enough if Michael has a decent start. Looking at his hand, I wouldn't say it's the best burn hand, but I'm not surprised that he kept it because the hand is just like one more land away from being able to do a lot of damage, and it has 4 repeatable damage sources, which ends up being very, very good when your opponent has Weather the Storm. You want to be able to weather the storm if they happen to cast it.
I mean, Michael had the best possible draw there, which was Mountain. So next turn, he's going to be able to Lava Spike into Skewer and put Brian immediately to 12.
He can do that. He also could just Curse to the Pierce Heart or play 2 Lava Runners with the intent to Lava Spike Skewer next turn and just deal a ton of damage.
Yeah, I mean, drawing the 4th Lava Runner seems pretty good. Wait. He's setting up Skewer.
Yeah, he's going to Skewer now and then be able to Spike Runner next turn. I'm not sure if I like that. I think I would rather...
Well, let's see. If he's setting it up, so what was that play?
Actually, this ends up being better in the long run.
Yeah, this is more damage.
However, it is worse in the face of a blocker. So had he done it the other way, where he played a Lava Runner this turn, he could Spike, Skewer the Skyfisher, and then attack through it. But he drew Lightning Bolt, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think, with perfect information, if I'm Brian, what I might have done there is actually returned a land and played out the Glint Hawk to have a second blocker. Wow, look at that. That is quite the draw. Prismatic Strands is probably the best draw for Brian here. It buys him so much time.
My gut tells me it's going to be too slow. He may be able to sit on it now, but then Michael can just play Curse, and that's going to be taking on Brian's turn.
True, but it still gives him time. So I think, I think because there's no instant. So actually it strains everything in his hand except that Curse.
Yeah, so it's certainly going to give him time, as in, 1 to 2 more turns, but he's not drawing any lands and not really getting anywhere.
The best draw for Brian right here is a land to go Palace Sentinels. It just for the opportunity to potentially draw into anything. Journey's not going to do it.
No, he'll be able to Prism and then Glint Hawk back the Prism to flash back the strands, but he's just so far behind at this point. Anything that Michael draws that doesn't add mana is going to be great.
Well, lands add mana, so I think that. Well, he's going to be
he's going to be able to block and cast it and kill one of these Lava Runners.
Yeah, I mean it's not great. He's still hoping to draw another copy. Does he run another copy? He runs 3 main, so he's not. Well, now he is. That was pretty bad.
Well, he could evoke a Mulldrifter and draw into another copy and discard it. Doesn't look like that's the route he's going to go.
Yeah, this was just a tough draw for Brian. Like, not seeing any Tron. He basically played out as a very slow Skyfisher deck. But he gets to bring in a whole bunch of counter spells.
Yeah, so Brian gets to bring in...
Looks like he's bringing 3 Hydroblasts.
Or some Hydroblasts. 2 Dispel.
He cut a Torch, he cut Deep Analysis, he cut Relic.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to bring in Standard Bearer.
I don't think it's worth it in this build. I actually think it's interesting that he opted for Standard Bearer instead of Coalition Flag Bearer. Because you usually see Tron decks run the Flag Bearer because they can afford it. Mm-hmm. That's the 2-4-1. Michael's sideboarding kind of similarly to you, bringing the Firebrand Archers. Brought in the Smash to Smithereens. So
he brought in the Smash. Looks like he didn't bring in the Molten Rains, which with only having 2. So from my perspective, when building my burn decks, I think that Molten Rain is either a 4 of or a 0 of. Like if you have Molten Rain in your sideboard and any number less than 4 and you're not bringing it against Tron, then I don't think that card should be in your sideboard, as it's not going to be part of your post-board strategy. So I'm not surprised to see him not bring them in. I am kind of surprised that they're in the sideboard. That being said, when I was doing some research on building my burn list, this was just the latest list that went undefeated in the last Pauper premiere. So, I mean, if you're going to copy somebody's burn list, you might as well pick the 7-0 list, right?
Yeah. I mean, that deck is pretty good. So what we're going to see here is probably Brian crack that for a snow-covered island. But the draw from Michael...
He may actually just crack it to finish Tron and then take a turn off, and then the following turn he can map for an island, play his Astrolabe, and then go to town.
Maybe. I'd be really worried about Smash. Like, Smash to Smithereens just feels so dangerous right now. No, you're right. He went for Tron. So, let's see. Yeah, you crack the map.
You get the island. It sits in your hand.
Yeah. And honestly, the burn in Michael's hand doesn't line up super great. That, on the other hand, does. That's just a persistent damage source. Granted, it can be handled by 1 copy of Hydroblast.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a Hydroblast here. Just kill that, as opposed to playing the Astrolabe. I don't think that I would play the Astrolabe here, because it doesn't leave you vulnerable to Smash.
Is he going for Mulldrifter instead? Or is he just going to leave it? No, he's going for Mulldrifter.
Mulldrifter in here. He might just die. Oh, he drew into... Oh, he might just die here.
Yeah.
If he draws a land, he's just dead. Searing Blaze, Smash, Fireblast. It's lethal.
Oh my god. Brian, not like this. Oh, such greed.
Yeah, I think this is lethal. 9. Yeah, 4, 4, 9. Yeah, this is lethal. He just turned everything on. He just turned on half the cards in Michael's hand.
Oh my god. I can imagine Brian right now just like head in his hands, just not like this.
I'm going to get all the damage on there.
Oh, just the way he played it, he just played into everything. And that was...
I mean, there was no way for him. There was no way for him to know.
No.
I am always under the impression... I have played Burn quite a bit, and I played against it a lot in my testing because it's a popular deck.
Yeah.
Because it's very inexpensive on Moto. But, like, if you let your opponent untap with Thermo-Alchemist, your chance of dying is way higher than your chance of not dying. So...
I mean, when I play against Burn, I just always assume they have it, and any win I get is a miracle blessing. But well, first of all, again, congratulations to Brian Coval, an incredibly accomplished player who, like North American Vintage champion, played in the VSL, really brought some really cool decks. Like that Sultai Teachings deck from week 2 was something I've never seen before, and I was really excited that he brought it. Congratulations to him.
So that was just a normal match, and now the next one will be a best of 3 matches.
Yeah, now we get to see Michael Bonde play against Brian DeMar's best 2 out of 3, and I think are we going to end up maybe with a Stomping Mirror? Let's see what
Brian brought Stompy first, so it'll be Stompy versus Burn, and then Stonehorn Tron versus Stompy, which seems favorable for Stonehorn Tron.
Yeah.
But I think that so every time I've played Burn against Stompy, it's just whoever goldfishes better.
Well, what I find is that it comes down to one card, and that card is Vault Scourge, and Brian only has 2 copies in his main deck. And he has some interesting spice in his sideboard, in Essence Warden, which could come in handy, but I'm going to take a break this round. You're going to be back with Kendra. But that was fast. I'm excited to see how this goes, because basically the winner of this match is playing you.
Yes.
And
they're both good.
They're both good. Let's see. One has a Pro Tour top 8. Mythic Championship top 8, or we call them top finishes these days. And one has, and Michael's done very well at Grand Prix as well. I think he has a Team Grand Prix win. Meanwhile, Brian DeMars has several Grand Prix top 8s, Grand Prix win.
A lot of Pro Tour appearances.
A lot of top Mythic Championship Pro Tour finishes. He played week 1 of this, his first week from Barcelona at the Mythic Championship. Prolific writer. And so what we'll do is we'll take a quick break. You'll be back with Kendra. I'm going to watch some Magic, and we'll see you in a bit.
All right. Catch you later.